I am a Mocha Mom and I am back with the final video in the scalp series styling. And in this video, I will be talking more about my experience with the girls' hair. I was a little bit guilty of this for myself, but more on top of it because I don't like pain and discomfort. So a main thing I want to talk about is pulling your styles too tight. I mean, I've had experiences for myself with this more so with going to a salon and having my hair braided with braid extensions and them doing that too tight. Even had one situation where, after I paid a ton of money to have the braids put in, I had to take them out. I mean, headaches, throbbing, bumps. It was so bad that I decided that I may as well lose my money. But with the girls, I was guilty of putting their hair in small, square pigtails with rubber bands at the base and twists along the ends just too tight, because I love that sleek, smooth look where the base that was lying flat against the scalp almost looked straight. And it had more sheen to it because the strands were pulled taut. But what I noticed with that were little bumps. Little bumps would break out along their scalp, usually more along the back edge of their hair. And these bumps would hurt. They would become itchy, which means the girls would scratch them. Sometimes the bumps had pus in them. And all of that is an indication of possible infection. And the worst case scenario, and you see this a lot with people that get micro braids and cornrows and things like that, traction alopecia. And traction alopecia it can be irreversible, where your scalp is so traumatized it sheds the hair permanently, and the follicle is damaged and doesn't produce any more hair, and you have thinning. And I know a lot of women have thinness along their hairline in particular, or maybe even in other areas of their hair. And they've had it for such a long time that they think they were born that way. But in actuality, they developed it from having their hair styled too tightly when they were children. I had a horrible experience with HMG, and I write about it in my blog, where I was just so excited about having a girl for the first time that I styled her hair all the time. Not daily necessarily, but every couple of days, every 3 days, it was a new style. She barely had 3 strands on her head. I was pulling and tugging to see if I could make a little pigtail out of that. And, not only did she experience those bumps, but for her, thankfully, the hair never fell out from the scalp, but we experienced a lot of breakage because of that. And when she was 3, I had to give her a haircut. I had to cut her hair down to the shortest layer. And, it was a good 3 to 4 inches in some areas. And I was really, really traumatized and horrified by having to do that because of poor styling habits. Another thing that I would do was suffocate their hair with grease, because as I shared in a video before, I really believe that grease was growing their hair. I believe the labeling that promised scalp health and hair growth, and thankfully no one had flakes, but I was washing their hair every 2 weeks, but styling more often than that. And every time I did a new style, a new layer of grease got added. And thinking about it now, that's like not bathing and putting oil, butter, lotion on your hair, on your body over and over and over again, and never rinsing out the previous layer, just suffocating the scalp. And you also, I noticed that you can get that funky odor that some girls walk around with from having all that stuff put in their hair and not having it washed out enough. It's attracting dust, it's attracting and all of that is mixing up with sweat. I mean, honestly, if you really think about it, it's a little disgusting. So one huge change I've made with the girls, I don't put any type of oil on my girls' scalps at all, ever. And if I use oil in their hair, I do it right after their hair has been washed and styled for the first time. my point in this series has been, well, you know, when styling your hair, when making choices for your hair, when washing your hair and caring for your hair, when picking products, make sure you consider your scalp. Think of your scalp as the factory that's producing these strands that you're after. If you keep the factory running smoothly, you'll get a maximum benefit from it and have a better chance of getting the hair that you want. It's been a little uncomfortable exposing all, you know, my mistakes as I have done in this series, but if it helps somebody, I think it's worth it. Be blessed.